Hello everyone, it's Galina, and I'm going to show you how to create a Christmas cards using a cover plate dies. I will share a few fun techniques with them, and this video will be the first one of my Christmas card series with cover plate dies, so stay tuned. For today's cards, I'm going to use this beautiful cover plate die with Christmas trees on it. Full supply list you can find in the video description below. This cover plate die is a little bit smaller than standard A2 card base, so it's perfect for fitting it. I cut out 3 white panels from a heavy white cardstock using this panel die. It's a better use a heavy white cardstock for this technique because we need to create a nice dimension on the card. Also, I have prepared a white A2 card panel. I put out all my green inks out and I'm going to apply them on the white card panel. I'm applying each color on a small area. I don't need to get a perfect blend between colors or something like that. Even the harsh lines don't matter on this step, because they will not be visible in the end. I'm applying randomly color by color until I get a super green panel. If you have a one green color ink, you can play with the intents of the color and create a light and dark green spots. Or you can use markers or pencils to add a color on the card panel. After my ink blending is done, I'm checking how colors look like by covering them with a die cut panel. And now I'm going to adhere all of the die cuts on the card panel. I'm using double-sided adhesive tape and liquid glue. I need to be sure the panels adhered well, especially between the trees. In the same way, I'm adhering all 3 die-cut panels. I don't want to leave this colorful border around the panels, so I'm going to cut out the excess paper with scissors. And check out this amazing dimension, I absolutely love it. For the next step, I'm going to use a glossy accent from Ranger. It's a clear dimensional gloss medium. It dries transparently with a beautiful dimension shine. And you can use it as a glue also. I love to cover small elements with this medium to add extra shine on any kind of projects, even on a polymer clay. I use it often, so I'm buying it in these big bottles. Also, glossy medium is available in smaller bottles. And even those little bottles will be endless for card makers. So I add this medium inside of each 3 die cut to create a kind of stained glass effect or jelly-like effect on the cookies. Next, I cut out a white rectangle piece from a white cardstock using a biggest rectangle die from a classic frames die set by Waffle Flower. And I'm going to use this big stamp from the Big Dots Holiday Stamp Set to stamp a sentiment on the rectangle label. I want to make my sentiment multicolored too, so I'm masking the bottom of the stamp with masking tape, and I'm applying bright green color ink on the stamp. Next, I'm removing the masking tape and carefully applying the second color of ink. And I'm going to stamp it in the center of this white label. To add more interest on the label, I'm going to color it with Copic markers. This step is optional, but I love how it looks with a green border around. I simply add a darker color on the corners and blend this color with a light green marker. For this card, I prepared a light mint color base. It's a standard A2 card base, and I'm going to adhere the panel with trees on it. I'm using a liquid glue for this step. Next, I foam mount the label with a sentiment on the top of the card. For me, it wasn't enough of green on this card, and I want to add more green accents. I'm using colorful enamel dots to embellish my card. This set called Enchanted, and there are 2 different shades of green colored dots. Perfect match for this card. And my first card is done. Super simple, super quick and beautiful card. I love to play with this technique and I absolutely love the result. My next card will be more classic and I'm not going to use any extra mediums, only papers. I cut out a panel with trees from a white glitter cardstock, and to add a color to the trees, I'm going to use a pattern paper with stripes. I'm using a green paper sheet from Enchanted paper from Waffle Flowers. Each sheet of this paper has two different A2 patterns, so I'm going to adhere my glitter card panel directly on it. I'm adhering the panel on the middle of the paper to get light green trees on the top and dark green trees on the bottom. Next, I simply cut out the excess paper with scissors. I used a same die set to create a label for this card. I cut out a rectangle from a mint color cardstock and I'm going to hit emboss the sentiment on it. I will use this big Celebrate the Season stamp from Big Dots Holiday Stamp Set, and I'm stamping the sentiment with the clear embossing ink. And I'm covering it with a white embossing powder. For the sentiments, I prefer to use a superfine detail powders. Using a heat gun, I'm melting powder and you can see a final look of the sentiment. To embellish my second card, I cut out two classic holly berries with leaves, using a small die from Holiday Lights die set. I cut out two green bases and two berries from a pink cardstock, and I'm going to attach those pink berries on the green leaves. Just look on them, super cute winter embellishments. And I'm adding a few more details on them. Using a white gel pen, I'm drawing white essence on the berries. I found mount the label with sentiment on the top of the card, and I'm attaching leaves with berries around the label. And here's my finished second card using a cover plate die. I love the clean and simple look of this card, and I can't wait to start sending my Christmas cards. Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next week. Bye!